Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastminder.
And if you are new, welcome in. If you're returning, welcome back. Of course, how we normally do things around here is we start off with our thing of the week. This is a particular media that we have been consuming for the past week. And of course, it was a 3-day weekend, so we had extra time. And then we do box office, DE, and sometimes GEG. I think we're doing DEG this week.
They did actually update it this week, so yep.
Okay, yeah. So DEG, and then on to our topics. And
Yes. Our little giving our 2 cents on the entertainment industry.
indeed, and so thing of the week, we're doing going to be a little different. DB is going to go first.
Yes. So since I'm on a bit of a BattleTech kick lately, I've been playing through MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries.
Hmm.
This is a game that came out for multi-platform a few years back, 2019. So it's on. I know it's on PC and Xbox. I would assume it's on PlayStation. It has to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
oh, hey,
hey,
D
D.
Rhino.
Good to see
Long
you
time no
again.
see.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know the series, I kind of talked about it when I reviewed Razor Fist's fan audiobook a couple weeks back. BattleTech is set in the usually the 31st century, where the great feudalistic houses that control space, using giant war machines known as battle mechs to enforce their will, have been blasting each other, not quite to the Stone Age, but getting close to the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
And so it's a very rich universe where over time they've fleshed out basically everything from the early 21st century through the 32nd century. The stuff in the 32nd century is what they came out with after a new company took over the brand. And it's mostly not as good. But but what was interesting with this game is that the company the company FASA, who did this game series originally, they also did Shadowrun.
Hmm.
Uh, when they were coming out with games while they owned the license, they always were setting it in kind of whatever was current in the novels and setting at the time. What's been kind of nice about these latter day video games, like we had a long gap between MechWarrior 4 and 5. We're talking like 2001, 2002 to 2019. Is
Wow.
that since they kind of broke that continuous stream of games that they'd had since the 90s, they kind of went back to a time period that is a lot of people's favorites, but has never, to the best of my knowledge, well, MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries kind of featured this time period, but that's like a DOS game just about,
Oh, jeez.
or early Windows game.
Oof.
Um, so it's been a while. And this is the Succession War era, which is part of that long backslide where everybody's paying people to go stomp each other with mechs.
Ah.
What's funny about MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries is that with the other MechWarrior games, they'd usually have, first they'd come out with a mainline game that was more streamlined and just a plot that you'd go through. So, 20 missions or whatever. And then they might have a spin-off Mercenaries game, which the Mercenaries game is you're in charge of a mercenary lance. In Battletech, a group of 4 mechs is called a lance.
Ah.
And the, you're head of a mercenary lance, and you're going around stomping people for profit.
Ah. And Ninja's here. Good to see you.
Yes, and yeah, hell yeah, Mech Warrior.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think that Mech Warrior 5, which I'd actually remembered hearing about like Xbox 360 era, kind of died had a sort of a shall we say, uh, development hell. It sounds like they
Ah.
skipped right to the spin-off game, it seems.
Oh. Yeah.
This was made by the same people who did MechWarrior Online, which is kind of like a free-to-play BattleTech online tournament thing, which has its own problems. I never really got into it, but
Uh,
uh, but let's talk about the game itself. Um, so in the game, you are warrior soldierman, who Yarst remember his name,
yeah.
who he is a mercenary, and his dad is a mercenary, and his dad is killed by evil mercenaries, and so it's time for revenge.
Mm.
And so you're kind there's two types of missions in the game. There's your campaign missions where you advance the storyline, and then there's the kind of insert battle here. uh,
The plot is most battle tank play
ki-
the plots.
Killing each other in space since the 22nd century or 21st century or so. Yeah, there's a lot of revenge going on throughout the entire Sphere. Okay,
Ah, yeah.
endless cycles of revenge.
ah, yeah.
But so you have your campaign missions where you advance the story, and then you have your going out there and making money missions. And let's talk about the positives. The mech gameplay is very satisfying. They've done a good job of making it so that each mech feels a little bit special because in older games you could just completely swap out the entire loadout for whatever the heck you wanted, which
Mm,
has the downside that it makes all a mech becomes is its tonnage and speed, and sometimes you could even adjust the speed.
mm.
In this one, it's like you can only mount certain types of weapons and certain types of hard points, so it gives the mechs more flavor. And it means that you kind of now this also means that some of the cheap things that I would do in previous games don't work anymore. So that's
Yeah.
uh, uh, I find it funny. Every review says that your allies are stupid. I didn't really have a problem with that. Um, maybe I'm just don't. Maybe I just have too low of expectations for Buddy AI. Who, I mean, they did their job. They kept the enemy, at bay. They fired shots at the enemy. They killed some of them. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
although it is noteworthy that like every ton of ammunition in this game has 4 times the number of shots as previous games. Because downside, they spam you with so many enemies. There's so many helicopters and vehicles and tanks and turrets that just pop up all over the place at random just to crank up the difficulty a little bit.
Yeah.
What's uh, Now, as far as the random go make money missions, what I would say is that some of them are not very well thought out.
Mm.
Um, so I'm gonna give an analogy. Imagine that you're in real like you're Blackwater in real life, like Blackwater, whatever that mercenary group is called.
Yeah, that's right,
I, I
Blackwater.
think
Yeah.
I think they might have changed their name to try to avoid their bad publicity, but
Yeah.
we'll just go with Blackwater. You're a
Yeah.
Blackwater mercenary company,
Yeah.
and you get this message: Hey, the French have been messing around. We're Germany. The French have been messing around in Denmark, uh, and we need to keep them out of our territory, as though Germany is talking about Denmark like it's their territory.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like certain types of things like, okay, I think you just like each mission is reasonably well balanced, but some of the outside of the universe text or some of the mission text, you go, okay, did you just plug in some Mad Libs? I almost wondered if some of them were AI generated after a while. On the other hand, then you'd hit ones where those are like your bread and butter missions. Then you'd have ones where clearly more effort was put into it. These are like higher value missions, and you'd have little threads. Like there was one where I kind of said, "Am I the baddie?" Because we were trying to like intimidate people into. It was like a multi-mission thing. We were trying to intimidate people into leaving behind an ancient Star League relic that they had built their city on, or like letting us like basically we're trying to clear off the locals so they could go mine it for lost technology.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hmm. Uh, but what was nice is like when you have like a really unheroic mission like that, yeah, it's like they're usually in sets of threes. The third one will usually have a diverging point where you have your option of realizing you're the baddies
Yeah.
switching sides, though your rewards tend to decrease a lot.
uh, yeah.
And what was really interesting was that you actually had you always have this lady who's bossing you around in the games. Although I swear that MechWarrior 3, it was the dad from Full House was your guy.
Bob Saget.
Not Full House. What was the one with Urkel?
Oh,
Family Matters.
Family Matters. Yeah.
So, basically, but that's neither here nor there. Uh,
Yeah.
so uh, then you had missions where it's like, wow, this is some deep cuts on the lore. Like, you go, how about this local duke who is always like this? It's like you have House Davian, then you have this like local border region controlled by the Hasek Davians, who are like a branch family, and they're always causing problems for House Davian. And at one point, you do some missions for them, helping them defend against another space nation. And the Duke is like, you know what? You can have these lost technology autocannons because I'd rather give them to warriors who fight than to surrender them to the Science Academy for research. Like that moment was kind of where I turned around on the plot because I stopped doing quite so many of the popcorn missions and started looking for the high value missions because those had more interesting things going on.
Yeah.
The other thing I really appreciated was that, uh, you know what, it's a 4-year-old game. And most people wouldn't get why these are spoilers. So they,
Yeah.
they basically had the Space Catholic Church, which was called Comstar. It's like it's like a mix of Space AT&T and Space Catholic Church because weirdos who worship technology as a cult. And part of their belief was that they had to restrict who had access to high technology for the good of humanity because clearly they couldn't be trusted with the high tech after, centuries of bombing each other back into the Stone Age.
Yeah.
So it turns out the bad mercenaries who killed your dad were being employed by Comstar, who were basically doing what you were doing in some of those missions, rushing in, blasting away cities that happened to be sitting on top of Star League relics so that Comstar could go in and secure them.
Uh,
And but they had a nice mix of mechs in here. The missions were fun enough. The gameplay is very satisfying. It's a little bit repetitive. I kind of wish I could. I kind of wish I could see what a Mech Warrior 5 would have been like, where it just had more of a focused campaign mission.
yeah.
Although they do have expansion packs for Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries that look like they're more focused campaign missions. So I might actually try one of those just to see what they're like. So would I
Huh.
recommend the game? If you have any like passing interest in Mech Warrior, yes, because it's very rich thing of it. If you don't, you might find it kind of repetitive because you're not going to get the same sort of all these deep cut references that I did.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, it's on PC and Xbox, so it's worth a shot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ninja Toast says Comstar's ultimate goal is to have everyone beat each other to a pulp, then take over the inner sphere under Comstar.
Yes, their enlightened rule to bring back the Star League.
Ah.
Because basically they are amusingly enough the shattered remnants of Starleague Communications Company or Starleague Communications. So it is basically Space Catholic Church keeping technology to themselves and making sure that others don't get access to things they don't like them to get access to.
Gotcha.
Now, in an unrelated recommendation, if you prefer reading about Stompy Mechs to if you prefer reading about Stompy Mechs to playing with Stompy Mechs, this is Warrior on Guard here from the 80s. This is 1998, but this was the original edition that I had. Uh, is the place to start because it isn't the first story, but it gets you up to speed, and it's where a lot of interesting stuff happens.
Okay.
Written by Michael A. Stackpole, who also did the Star Wars X-wing novels.
Oh. Very cool.
He actually got the job because of his BattleTech work. So not since they were his first published novels.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
But anyhow, that's enough of me talking about giant stompy mechs.
Okay.
Speaking of things from the 80s,
So, yes. So my thing of the week is a new series on Netflix, which just kind of showed up. Not a whole lot of fanfare, not a whole lot of promotion or anything. It's Fubar, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Believe this is believe it's the first ever TV show he's ever been in.
you
Because
mentioned that. Yeah, I can't think of any time I heard about an Arnold TV show.
no, he's only ever done movies. I guess it's just the changing landscape of entertainment these days. But yeah, so this show, and for those of you who probably don't know, FUBAR is an acronym. I'll keep it YouTube friendly. It's effed up beyond all recognition.
Old World War II slang, I believe.
Yes, yeah, yeah. The first time I ever heard it, yeah, was in Band of Brothers. And yeah, you hear it a lot in the military. But yeah, so Schwarzenegger plays Luke Brenner. I think that's right, Brenner, CIA agent. He's about to retire. Goes on one last mission before he's retiring, and he's divorced, but he has two grown children, a son and a daughter. And he's so when he retires, his grand plan is to he buys a ship, which is what's like it's like a little not really. It's somewhere between a boat and a yacht. It's kind of like this one, little sailboat things.
Okay.
And his grand plan is to win his ex-wife back. Uh, and his cover, by the way, is as he owns a business that sells gym equipment. And I always tell I've mentioned this before the show with DB. This show is basically like the unofficial sequel to True Lies. But anyway, what happens is he gets called in by his handler. His name is Barry, and he's a African American, real nerdy, big afro. And he calls him in and says, "Hey, we got a situation. We got an operative we lost contact with in Guyana, and we need to send you down there to get him." And he goes down there. He goes down to Guyana, and of course the place is run by this drug lord, who's the son of another drug lord that Arnold's character killed like 25 years before. And the son of the son, he actually like Arnold like looked after him, like he paid to have him go to school in London, and and all this, basically just made sure that he wasn't wanting for anything. Of course, he just follows the guy just follows in his dad's footsteps. um
Now I'm going to interrupt you slightly. As soon as you started talking about that, him having a partner and it being old Arnold, I immediately thought of this McBain bit with like the oh okay, you keep eating them hot links, you're gonna die. Come on, live a little. Not me, pal. I'm retiring in 2 weeks.
yeah.
Gonna go on this sailboat.
So yeah.
Although it's not actually showing up on the screen here. It
Oh,
might just be only showing. It's the McBain bit where he
partner that
shouts
man both.
Mendoza.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. There are a bunch of they make a bunch of references to his old movies. Like
Okay.
so like his daughter has a boyfriend, and her boyfriend teaches kindergarten, and he's like, "Oh, you teach kindergarten." And then there's another scene where he's like, he says "choppa" a couple of times.
Of course.
um, and he made but yeah, but anyway, so he goes down to Guyana, and then uh, uh, he meets the operative, and lo and behold, the operative is his daughter. and his daughter is played by I don't know the actress's name, but she was Phoenix, the lady, the female fighter pilot in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, I thought for some reason my mind went to that awful Game of Thrones actress who was Jean Grey in that last Fox X-Men movie.
Oh no. yeah, Phoenix, yeah. Um,
Also, those Top Gun actors are getting around.
yeah, they are. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the other part of it too. Is like he's just completely shocked, and that his daughter is also in the CIA, and of course he thinks he has this image of his daughter being, oh, she's a good girl, and she doesn't smoke and she doesn't swear, and then the first time he sees her, she's in this like cage fight and beating this guy up, and she puts him in an arm bar, and she's like, how's my ass smell?
Little Susie grew up.
Little Susie grew up, yeah. uh, but yeah, so the rest of the series is basically just the two of them having to work together along with a couple of other CIA agents, and the handler, the Barry, his name is Barry, and it's a little weird because like she calls him, the daughter calls him Uncle Barry, even though like he's like our age, he's in his late
Huh.
30s, and she's like 20 and she's in her late 20s, and of course he explains it that like, well, I was 21 when they met and she was only 11, and he says, and black don't crack. uh but yeah, so it's basically just like the whole show is them trying to stop this the bad guy, and trying to, yeah, awkward. um and trying to nab the bad guy while also nabbing, trying to figure out their personal relationships, and the two, their, Arnold and his daughter trying to figure out their relationship, and Arnold trying to impart his wisdom onto her, and her, kind of like ignoring him at first, but then kind of saying, oh, maybe he actually kind of knows what he's talking about. And but it's a fun, it's funny, it's an action comedy series. It's
Yep.
basically what it is.
How long of an episode or how long of a series is it?
There are 8 episodes. Each episode runs like 50 minutes to an hour.
Okay, so pretty full season.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they I will say, light little spoiler, they did leave it open for a season two. So
I,
I don't know if it's going to get a season two or not. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah.
that always strikes me as like such a risk. I mean, like for example, making Star Trek Picard more than a one and done always struck me as like, what do you do if Patrick Stewart has a bad fall?
Yeah. Yeah, or he gets something, or yeah.
Yeah. Although, if the roids were going to kill Arnold, they already would have.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's still in good shape. I mean, he's still doing all he's not as heavy in the action scenes as he was when he was younger, but I
Hmm.
mean, he can still move really well, and
Yep.
yeah.
Though, it occurs to me that we have to have a season two because he has to stop Mendoza from distributing that swank, which is 10 times more addictive than marijuana.
Yes. Any May jokes in the show? Uh, I don't remember there being any.
That would probably be too close to home.
Yeah, well, he does make a reference to like Danny DeVito, and oh god, there was another thing he made a reference to. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, there's he makes this bunch of they make references to his stuff all the time. Yeah,
Uh,
but
So,
yeah,
well, it sounds like a fun time, and yeah, it's kind of a weird show to just drop out of nowhere.
yeah, and it's, yeah, very very odd, but yeah, but if you
You
got
know,
Netflix, give it a watch.
it occurs to me this is like the ongoing rivalry between Stallone and Schwarzenegger. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I got myself two Paramount Plus series. I've got one on Netflix. Suck it. 20 times as many people would watch it on there. Because
Yeah.
Stallone, of course, has Tulsa King, and now he has that one reality show about him and his daughters,
Oh, jeez.
who are all foxes,
Oh, yeah.
surprisingly.
Yeah.
But speaking of human misery,
Yes.
so the weekend for the box office that was, usually we try to not call movies flops or bombs until we've had a second weekend to look at it. But um, let's let's leave Little Mermaid for last here.
Yes.
Um, so as far as new releases go, we have a series of small releases, kind of rounding out the top 10, which Kandahar apparently is another movie in the style of Plane, which is a simple
Uh,
action movie starring what's his name?
Gerard Butler.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to sound stupid and be wrong.
Yeah.
You Hurt My Feelings, which sounds like
Oh, yeah.
Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Oh, jeez.
That sounds like a laugh a minute.
Oh, yeah.
um, and we've got About My Father, which I think, yep, Robert De Niro movie.
Oh, God.
Have not heard anybody say anything about that.
Robert De Niro has made so many bad movies in the last like 5, 10 years. It's not even funny.
Yeah, then we've got The Machine.
Oh, that's with Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah. It's 23 years after the original story that inspired it. The Machine finds Bert facing family crisis, strange father, the ghost of his booze-soaked. Makes me exhausted. That exhausts me just reading it. But good on
Yeah.
Mark Hamill for getting some work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things of note in the top 10. Guardians of the Galaxy is having a crazy hold.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's legging out. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at in its fourth week, it made almost as much as Fast X did in its second weekend. So
Yeah.
that's impressive. Yeah, we're looking at like a 2.63 leg out, which we looked up Thor Ragnarok. No, we looked up Thor: Love and Thunder before the show. That's more legging out than Thor did in its entirety.
Yeah.
After 4 weeks. In fact, 741. Has it already outstripped Thor: Love and Thunder in total box office? Close.
Close. Yeah.
Which, considering it opened like 30 million less, with a
Yeah.
reasonable amount of competition around it. I think this is clearly kind of bucking the Disney trend of just falling off that cliff. This is
Yeah.
one where it seems like people were a little reluctant because the last few Disney movies have been crap. The
Yeah.
last few Marvel movies have been crap, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, this is probably word of mouth getting around that. No, guys, it's actually good. Seriously.
Yeah.
Which, to the best of my knowledge, neither of us have seen this yet, but we definitely keep talking about it.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll see it in the theater or not, but I'll definitely watch it once it drops on streaming.
Yeah. Now, as far as big disasters, Book Club, the next chapter dropped 71%
Ooh.
in its second weekend, and it didn't have a high place to start from in the first place.
Yeah.
Less than $1 million for its second weekend. Total gross of 16 mil. Yeah, hopefully they didn't spend too much money on this one. Which this is apparently a sequel. I didn't know there was an original Book Club movie.
I didn't either. Yeah. And Ninja points out Fast X dropped big.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
66% drop in its second weekend. That's like some Batman v Superman numbers there.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
this movie also didn't open terribly big, though. We're kind of seeing the difference between how much the U.S. cares about this movie versus international. After 2 weekends, 117 million in the U.S., 428 internationally.
Wow. Yeah.
with China being like 117 million, which
China
actually
likes.
means
Yeah.
that they made less money because China takes a bigger piece of that pie.
Right. Yeah. And I guess China likes movies about family.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's Meanwhile, it seems like well, let's see. Is there anything else you want to talk about here? Do we have a budget for this movie?
Oh, I'm sure it's in the
Three hundred and
thir-
forty million. Jesus Christ.
Ugh.
Now, apparently this is one series where they're comfortable enough not necessarily making it back at the box office because of the knock-on effects that putting out new movies has on the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And the fact that since it's so big internationally, they do actually make a lot of distribution deals on foreign TV and local streaming services and things like that.
Ah.
As
Yeah.
opposed to, if is this a Universal or a Paramount? Universal.
Universal, I
Like,
think.
whereas if Universal was just shoving it onto Peacock after 30 days, oh, that would be a disaster.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I wonder how much of that budget is going into paying the cast.
It's got to be a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
Like let's do the traditional 50% advertising on top of production budget.
Okay.
Um, times 1.5. Yeah, we're talking a billion to break even.
Oof.
And actually, it's worse than that because that billion to break even is like at the US 50% ish rate.
Ah.
Considering that China is about a quarter to a fifth of the movie's run, that means you got to make double in China what you make in the US to equal out.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, this movie is making big wads of cash, but it's cost big wads of cash.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've only ever seen the first one.
That is one more than I have seen.
Yeah.
I still think the funniest description I ever heard of it was your boy Zach, who basically put it as it's about a universe where cars are magic, but people didn't realize it at first, and over time they've realized how magic they are. Which is why every movie they can do more and more ridiculous things with cars.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, man.
On the flip side, I think we're ready to talk about the rotting whale in the room,
Yes.
Little Mermaid, which is like the reverse, where the domestic box office likes it, and the international box office does not care.
No, they do not.
And Holy Ninja Toast says mechs are cooler than cars. Okay, so I'm going to admit to something that's kind of stupid or kind of
Uh,
silly.
Okay.
I have never been a car person. I find cars kind of pedestrian and boring. I see them as a way to get from point A to point B. And like literally, if I was on the market for a new car right now, all I would care about is gas mileage and reliability. I am that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yeah. Good.
I have the rules of BattleTech mech construction memorized. Like I did this back in like junior high and high school and early college,
Yeah.
up until the company went under, and they kind of jumped ahead 70 years, and I lost interest.
Yeah.
Um, but I can still like design mechs per the board game rules casually in my head because I've memorized a lot of the tonnages. So what does that say about me? I think that might be my undiagnosed autism. I don't know.
Yeah, I never I was like you, kind of like you. I really don't know anything about cars really. The only knowledge I have of it is watching like old episodes of Top Gear and the Grand Tour, and even then, it's not really even like a car. That's not even really a car show. Those aren't car shows. Those are just like three middle aged guys driving around and acting like idiots.
Yeah, it's like stunt shows.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we got diverged there, also explains
Yes.
why Holy Ninja is such a Transformers fan because they're cars and mechs.
Ah. Yes.
So Little Mermaid. Neither of us bothered to go see The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that's only half the story. I have no desire to see it whatsoever.
Yeah. Now, I think we mentioned this a while back when the initial brouhaha about the race of the main actress came up, where I kind of admitted there's not a scenario where I would be interested in seeing a live action shot for shot remake of The Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Yeah, same here, and not only that, like I have no interest in watching any of the live action remakes of any of the animated movies from Disney. I haven't seen any of them.
I saw like bits and pieces of Beauty and the Beast. It was one of those deals where other people were watching it, and I was on my laptop at the table, so I caught bits and pieces of it.
Uh,
Um, but I feel like there was no. I think I have managed to miss all the rest of them. I hear that Cinderella is worth watching. I think that Shadiversity might has cited it as one of his, if not his, favorite movie.
yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard Cinderella was good. I think Kenneth Branagh directed that one.
Hmm.
So
I've also heard good things about The Jungle Book.
have not. Yeah,
I think I remember an Andrew Clavin review from the time saying it was really good.
yeah,
So, but that's but yeah, I think I just wanted to lay out that thing. It's like this isn't like, oh, we're jaded Little Mermaid fans who we collect all the action Little Mermaid action figures. We're deep into the Little Mermaid expanded universe. Although the Disney Channel cartoon was pretty good. I enjoyed they had the lobster mobsters who were always fun when they showed up.
yeah. Oh, gee. And Ninja says both are cooler than the Little Mermaid, both versions.
Yeah, but so we were never super invested in this. So we're kind of looking at this from a numbers perspective, and it's just kind of fascinating how this is the reverse of Fast X.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, because it's usually the opposite with a movie like this. You know, where the domestic audience isn't there, but the international audience is propping it up.
Yeah, there's like a couple of theories about this. That actually, first off, um, over the 3 day week, 3 days of the Memorial Day weekend, it did not hit 100 million.
Ooh,
That's an oof.
I think Top Gun Maverick did because it came out around this time last year.
Yeah, let's be unfair. Let's
Yeah.
pull up Top Gun Maverick and yeah, the biggest post-pandemic movie. Why not? That isn't an Avatar movie. Sure, why not?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 126 million is opening weekend, and at the time that was seen as like a mild underperformance.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
boy, that's kind of hilarious in retrospect.
Yeah.
The power of legs. But I
Yep.
guess mermaids don't have legs, so it's not to be expected.
That's true.
Now, I think they were like I think we've hit the end of people wanting to see these things. So let's talk about reasons this could be.
Okay.
One thing that actually occurs to me is Disney Plus,
Hmm.
because Disney with their vault system was always taking their movies in and out of circulation. So you could make it special for a new version of Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin or whatever to be around, because you didn't
Right.
necessarily have immediate access to it on streaming. Now you could buy it on digital, but it's more fun to go to the theater,
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and they would release them and re-release them in theaters every few years too.
right? Which they stopped doing. So I think that's a piece of it, was that it was more novel.
Mm,
But now you have Disney Plus. Actually, you know what? Let's fact check this. Can I
okay.
go and watch The Little Mermaid right now on Disney Plus?
I think you can.
So now, and it actually is between this and Mulan. So Mulan, we won't count Mulan because that came out mid-pandemic.
Right.
And some people have tried to compare Cruella to this. Like, no, that isn't a shot-for-shot remake. That's different. That's a different category.
Yeah. And Ninja says should have made an original mermaid film. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I've
yeah.
heard people say that. That assumes that Disney is actually able to make a distinct original thing work. When you think about it, the last time they tried for a non-remake fantasy thing was A Wrinkle in Time, and we know how that worked out.
Oh yeah.
All right, so you can all hear my Xbox bleeping and blooping. So
Yeah. Yeah. Although I will say, with
yes,
regards to this,
I can not only watch The Little Mermaid, I can watch The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea, and the musical The Little Mermaid Live.
oh God.
Wait, they have three different versions of The Little Mermaid? Oh, they have the TV show that I was just mentioning a second ago. Okay. So yeah, so if I'm and they have a Little Mermaid sing-along version. So there
Yeah.
are on Disney Plus four different ways I can consume The Little Mermaid and she'll look right.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I would rather not only that, not only would I rather watch the animated version if I did want to watch it,
Mhm.
but also this, I would rather watch Pirates of the Caribbean 4 than this movie. Pirates of the Caribbean 4 was the one with the mermaids.
Yeah, so you've kind of made it less special than it used to be when they did these live action remakes.
Yeah.
Because the thing I noticed about all the Disney live action remakes that topped $1 billion, they all came out before Disney Plus existed.
Mm.
Coincidence? Possibly, but I think it's an interesting point.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
So that was option one. Option two, the race thing.
Yeah, I would definitely well, definitely like in China.
Yeah, now some people were claiming that Disney had modified a poster to make her look like to have it have the ocean light washed out and not be have it be clear what her skin color is for China, but that was just one they had also put out for IMAX.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
So
I don't
it
think
was
they
actually a coincidence.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they did with this movie what they did with like Black Panther or with The Force Awakens, what they did with John Boyega.
Well, you can't really put her in a mask for this movie.
Oh, that's true.
Um, so that's one thing, and from what I've heard, she's like the highlight of the movie, which I don't doubt.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't even necessarily say that the Little Mermaid's race is important outside of it's what's been established previously.
right. And well, and it's being used as a marketing. It's been used in their marketing. Her
Right.
her race.
One comment that someone or that she made was that if she'd had a black Little Mermaid when she was a kid, her life would be different. It's like, you're doing pretty good. I mean, you got to be in a high budget Disney movie.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, there's too much, too much of that stuff going on right now.
It is woke by our definition of woke, which is by our agreed upon definition of woke, which is excessive attention paid to demographic traits
Yeah.
over the actual quality of the thing. Also, like I had coworkers talking, like showing me clips like Flounder looks horrifying. What is Sebastian? I thought they couldn't decide between hyperrealism and cartoony, and they split the difference, and that doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. Uh,
So it's just not. And also just because of how light actually works underwater and then being realistic with it, it looks like a darned horror movie in some of those trailers.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wondered about that too, because I mean, I've seen enough movies that take place underwater, and I know how dark it is down there. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, because seagulls can breathe underwater, according to the film.
Well, that's because the seagull's Aquafina. And after hearing that rap, I'd like to start a petition to ban Aquafina and Lin-Manuel Miranda from ever working in Hollywood again. Both of those experiments have hit their logical endpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, well, after seeing Aquafina in Shang-Chi, yeah, I would agree with that. Ugh.
What's funny is that people have been saying that she used to kind of do the black scent when she was rapping, and it's like she can't rap without it. Have you heard the Scuttle rap?
No, no, I have not.
It's almost worth listening to a few seconds of it just to go, "Oh God, no!"
Uh, yeah. Oof.
But we've had reviews in the past where we've talked about the Schrodinger's flop effect, where it seemed like different people were trying to say it was a success or not a success. This time, the raw numbers are not in their favor.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, a rap in Little Mermaid. This was white trash thing ever heard.
It's it's it just seems like it was a misfire, and
Yeah.
there's
Well,
also other funny
yeah.
little details. Like every one of Triton's daughters is roughly the same age and is of a different race, so you have to wonder. So it's like on the one hand, you got your diversity in, but now you've added the question: okay, did he just have a harem? What happened to the other wives?
Yeah, or is he like, or was the wife getting around?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Uh, because in the original, you could just assume, oh, their mother had a lot of daughters, and then she must have died giving birth to Ariel, which is why she isn't around. So
Yeah, yeah.
now you've introduced a lot of awkward questions.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
It's
Yeah.
like, what? Just make them all black at that point. Make them all match.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I swear, there's just some things where people don't necessarily think things through.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it's sort of like like with Velma. They made Shaggy, who is traditionally the stoner character, black.
Although in the show, apparently he makes a big long joke about him hating drugs. So
Oh, yeah.
that
Or
was their attempt at meta comedy. You see,
yeah, or the live action Cowboy Bebop, where they made Jet Black a black guy, and not only but they made him a deadbeat dad.
uh,
Like,
so
way to go.
yeah. So meanwhile, some weeks I've doubted how much they actually put into advertising some things. I've seen a fair number of. I think I've seen a fair number of commercials for this one.
Yeah, and definitely a lot of cross promotional tie-ins with other companies, and yeah.
So we're probably looking at like a $900 to $1 billion break-even point. Because this thing cost as much as Thor: Love and Thunder.
Wow. Yeah. Well.
I think that there might have a situation where not a single Disney movie that's released this year actually makes a profit, which would be
Yeah.
obscene.
Yeah. That's yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, you got Indiana Jones coming out next month.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And apparently that movie costs as much as Avatar 2.
So like 500 million.
Yeah. So
Well,
it's gonna need to do like 2 billion to break even.
it is a Kathleen Kennedy joint.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, we've been jawing about this long enough.
Yeah.
DEG, watch at home. Ant-Man takes the crown from Avatar.
Yes.
65 moving up, as is Cocaine Bear.
Wow.
Yellowstone is way up there. Let's see. Oof, this Guy Ritchie movie, Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre, did not stay in theaters very long.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't very good.
Oh, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is in.
Oh well, that's on HBO or it's on Max. Sorry, it's called
That's the
Max now.
stupidest renaming ever because you've
I
made yourself ungoogleable.
yeah. Ugh.
Creed 3,
Yeah.
Scream
Scream
4,
6, Knock at the Cabin.
E
I've heard
for
Knock at the
Brady.
Cabin's pretty good.
That's the
That's
M. Night Shyamalan one.
right. Yeah, Dave Bautista.
Puss in Boots is still hanging in there months on, as well it
Yeah.
should.
Plane.
Plane
Yeah.
finally starting to trend down.
Yeah.
The Whale.
The Whale. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now that we've filleted this fish a bit,
Yes.
I think the lesson here is stop making live action remakes.
Yeah.
Don't make Moana. That movie is less than 15 years old. Stop it.
Yeah.
The Rock clearly is not the box office draw you think he is, because Black Adam.
Yeah. Oh
So
man.
stop it. Get some help.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Uh, it's at 50% on Rotten Tomatoes after the red carpet. Ooh.
Are we
I
talking
I,
about
I
Indiana
I think
Jones
that's
there, or
Indiana Jones.
oof? Yeah, Indiana Jones apparently bombed at Cannes.
Mm.
And it got a apparently they have a tradition of doing very long standing ovations when movies are shown there. It got a what was considered a perfunctory 5 minutes, and arguably most of that was because of Harrison Ford was right there.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
Ugh.
Yeah, man.
Now,
But
as for upcoming movies,
yes.
possible disasters to come, we are going to uh, actually let's see here. I think that you have to be doing it for us to play along.
Okay.
As memory serves from past weeks when we've done this.
Yeah.
If you want to actually like have the audio,
Okay. Let me.
but we'll take our chances with the Comcast gods,
Yes. Or Viacom.
Paramount, whoever.
Paramount. Yeah. All right. Let me pull it up here. Du-du-du. Uh,
Go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
All right. No, I don't know. Keep watching Gordon Ramsay. All right. Let's see if it will go. Come on. All right. Oh, why can't
Holy
I?
Ninja says, "Oh no." The answer is, "Oh yes."
Oh yes, yeah. Let's see. And for some reason, it's locked up on my end.
Okay, it's trying to save us.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
here. Okay. Okay, it's on there now.
That's right. See, I always use a different browser for the actual presentation over here versus what we use for StreamYard. So
Oh, okay.
that's why.
All right. All
Uh,
right. Well, I'll be sure to cut this part out of it out of the segment here.
yes.
All right. That's
You can put up one of those like images of like the Native American head from the old test signals where it's like,
yeah. All right. Playing 3, 2, 1.
Boys, where have you been?
We're just running errands.
That's it?
Look, we're really sorry, Splinter. Some of the guys wanted to get pizza, and I tried to talk them out of it.
You ratted us out. Hey, don't use that word that way.
I mean, it's 2023.
Sorry, Dad.
okay, so if I wasn't kind of inclined to dislike the movie in advance, and I wasn't kind of tired of wokeism or political correctness, whatever you want to call it, that would be a funny joke.
Yeah. Do you know the? Oh,
Like,
jeez.
don't use rat that way is like, okay, that's kind of clever.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, we got Jackie Chan in the voice of Splinter.
Which is funny because Splinter's Japanese, so I thought we were supposed to be overly sensitive about these things, but
Yeah, yeah,
I don't care.
yeah. I don't either.
Hey, guys, if we weren't monsters that were shunned by society and we could do what we wanted,
So
what would
we've
you
seen
guys
this
do?
before in the
Go to
last
high
one we
school?
looked at,
Oh yeah, the with the watermelon.
the
Yeah,
rooftop scene. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe get a girlfriend.
Can you imagine that?
Not likely.
Also, what kind of reception are they possibly getting in the sewers on their
I don't know.
smartphones?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
that raises more questions.
yeah.
Like,
I wondered that about the 2012 series because they were using they were going on like computers and going on the internet, and I'm like, you get Wi-Fi down in the sewers?
I could see or not Raphael. I could see Donatello rigging up some sort of Ethernet solution there. Maybe make a Wi-Fi for the sewers,
Oh, yeah,
but that's still like that's a weird thought to have. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Donnie's the tech guy.
he
Yeah,
knows
yeah. So
machines,
he,
yes.
yeah, which yeah, yeah. So he
Although
rigged something up.
he did machines, I don't remember him being IT, which is a different set of skills.
Well, and the one animated movie they did like in the late 2000s.
Oh, the
He
Patrick
worked.
Stewart one.
Yeah, the Patrick Stewart one. Yeah, he worked he had an IT job that he worked. It was just over the phone.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's possible. It's just one of those things that's weird on the surface, but I could technically see how you could do it.
yeah, yeah.
This is insane. Turtle mutant karate teens.
Oh,
I
hey,
want to
Lizzo's in
know
the movie.
everything about
Oh,
Well,
jeez.
and I'm sure he was technically doing computer stuff in the '80s show too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
It's just been a while. I was just being a little bit pedantic.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so the thing that everybody's going to focus on, I swear this is like the sacrificial lamb to make sure that like they can brush aside criticism of the movie.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh man,
you. Our dad is definitely not a giant rat.
I can't stand Donnie's voice.
Yeah, he sounds too young. Also, that was I finished the line, I guess.
Oh yeah,
That makes me feel like he's a rat.
That is such a
Police are
Seth
back.
Rogen joke right there.
yeah, it is.
Or it's like awkward white humor, awkward white guy humor.
Yeah, ugh, man.
Told by the recent crime wave led by a superfly.
Nobody's ever seen his face.
Why?
Because he kills everyone who does.
Cool.
No, not cool.
A bit cool.
Can I kick you?
Okay, that was like my favorite line in the trailer. Like that.
Yeah,
It's like they're teenage boys and they're actually kind of impressed by that kind of thing.
yeah, it makes sense. I think they're supposed to be like like 13 or 14 in this.
Yeah, that's definitely the feeling you get from this, which is weird because usually their portrayal would be like 16, 17, 18.
Yes, yeah, 16, 17, yeah, somewhere around there.
Superfly. And then everyone will think we're cool. They'll accept us.
Can I kick you?
He's making a deal tonight under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Can I kick? Whoa! Kick. What the? Y'all some little tortoises, huh?
I can't believe there are other mutants.
You want to roll with us? Humans are never gonna like us.
All right, so it's kind of
Getting an-
interesting that we're getting Baxter Stockman back to his original race because it was bent in the '80s cartoon from black to white for whatever reason.
Yeah, and then he went back to black in the 2003 series and the
Right.
2012 series.
Well, that's because the original creator was actually involved with it, so he wanted to be like his comic.
Right. Yeah, and of course you got that Ice Cube in there,
Yep.
which fits.
And this is going to sound a little bit heretical, but I actually kind of appreciate that for once we're not getting a Shredder story from the looks of it.
Yeah, yeah, because I hate to say it, Shredder's kind of been overdone.
Right. I mean, on the one hand, your Transformers movie, you got to have Megatron as your villain.
Right.
But on the other hand, it gets played out.
Right. Yeah.
So that now, what I have the sneaking suspicion of, and I mark my words, like I'm just going to make this prediction right now. So we have Bebop and Rocksteady there as already mutants, right?
Right.
So we're getting away from the original '90s cartoon version where they were humans who we decided to mutate to fight the turtles better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're going to have Ice Cube's gang get broken up, and then I'll have an after trailer thing that establishes the Shredders showing up and him recruiting them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
this
can.
feels
Yeah.
because this feels has a very prequel feel to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we'll probably, and then if they get if there is a sequel to this, which might not happen, it'll be the first issue of the comic book that they do,
Yeah,
minus the blood and gore.
I don't know. Maybe Seth Rogen convinces them to do the hard R.
Yeah, maybe.
So we gonna let the mutants rule the earth.
He reminds me of Magneto,
Yeah, Superfly Magneto.
Superfly Magneto. Yeah.
Although I think you do
People
notice that I think April called him Superfly early on, so maybe it
Super.
isn't Baxter Stockman, which would be
Yeah.
weird to have a fly who wasn't Baxter Stockman. But
Yeah. It's yeah.
oh
That's
hey, there's
Mon.
Raymond. There's Raymond there.
Yeah.
Who's the gecko? You were just circling him.
Mondo Gecko.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, this is like something where I think Midnight's Edge was pointing out. This is probably a situation where Seth Rogen is actually a fan of it, but he's like a fan of the cartoon.
right. Yeah, he's not a fan of the. Well, yeah, he's a fan of like the '87, the '80s '90s show, not like the
Right.
2003 show or the comic books or yeah.
Because like there's a lot of questionable design choices here and some questionable writing choices, but and Seth Rogen is Seth Rogening it up a bit,
Hmm.
but I don't feel like this is like the same sort of hatred for the fans that you sometimes get from these remakes.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, there is some love and care or not care consideration, albeit misguided.
Well, it's like how I kind of enjoyed that Seth Rogen Green Hornet movie, but it
Yeah,
was not a good Green Hornet movie.
yeah,
they got to go.
Okay, sort of a twist.
We can't stop him.
We gotta try.
6 in the morning, police at my door.
My son, Michelangelo, you have heart. Donatello, you have wisdom. Raphael,
You have an undiagnosed bipolar disorder.
yeah. That's very true. Yeah. Jeez. Oh man.
and Leonardo. Honor.
You're the good one.
Enough talk. I dream
Yes.
about fighting every night.
You got a rage problem, right?
It's not a problem.
That was like the second best line in the trailer.
Yeah. They said the thing. All right.
So second trailer came off better than the first one.
I think so. Yeah, the first one was kind of like more bent to the comedy and the characters. This one was more bent to the story.
And the action, yeah. Like
Yeah.
you actually now know who the villain is.
Right. Yeah, I was kind of wondering if it was going to be more like the 2000s animated movie where it was more focused on the turtles and less on the bad guys.
Yeah, you can kind of see the plot going here. It's like, oh yeah, we're outsiders. Oh, they're these cool people who we can be buddies with, who are just like us. Oh, they're dag nasty evil. They're genocidal. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like I was kind of saying before, there's a bit of a X-Men Magneto vibe I was getting from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I don't know that art style wise, it's very strange still.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's I hate to say it, kind of parts of that looked cheap.
Yeah, there isn't a budget posted for this. There isn't a posted budget for this movie anywhere that I could find. So I'll be very curious if like is this like a Puss in Boots where it's 90 or 100 million, or is this style actually Lightyear style $200 million budget? Because I could see a case
Yeah.
for both. Because there's like if you look at the lines on Michelangelo's arms in this screenshot I have here, go ahead and switch back to
Yeah.
presenting here. Boop. Wait, did I pick the right one? No, I did not pick the right one.
Oh, you didn't pick the right one. Okay.
Silly me. All right. So like there's like it looks like he's a 3D model, but there's visible squiggles on it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is a high budget movie or not.
Yeah. It's hard to
I would
tell.
believe either one.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Ninja says it looks like they couldn't decide between a grittier style, cartoony style during the production, so they tried to do both.
I suspect that if you were to see the what do you call it, the concept art for this one, it would be extremely similar
Yeah.
to like how this actually turned out. Okay, and it's like probably some cartoonist with a very rough style that they're emulating here.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I've necessarily been sold on the movie, but at least now I kind of get what it's about.
Yeah.
So I feel a little better about it than I did after watching the first one, which just felt like a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely get a better idea of what the movie's about. You get the idea that okay, it's them like I was saying, like they're 13, 14 years old,
Mhm.
just starting out. They're not as obviously not as battle hardened as they are when they're 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah.
Right, and they're actually being heroic here. So
Yeah.
as opposed to last one where they were just miscreants causing problems for innocent people.
Yeah, yeah, they're just being stupid teenagers.
Yeah. So better trailer. Maybe they should have led with this one.
Yeah, I think so too.
April O'Neil is still a joke, but that's
Yeah,
neither here nor there.
yeah, I agree.
So decent trailer actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of things that I actually don't have a transition for
Don't
this
have a
one.
transition. Right,
Um,
next topic.
Next topic. Next meme.
Yes.
All right. So the director of the upcoming Flash movie has declared that Ezra Miller won't be recast if there's a sequel to The Flash. I don't think there's anyone that can play the character as well as they did. Director Andy Muschietti said of the troubled actor in the Discourse podcast. Let's see here. If a sequel happens, yes, I don't think anyone can play the character as well as they did. The other depictions of the character are great, but this particular vision of the character, they just excelled in doing it. And as you said, the two berries, it feels like a character that was made for them.
Of course he's going to say that.
Yeah. Like, okay, so, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy here.
Yeah.
You don't badmouth the movie while it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, you want people to go see it. I mean, this isn't Fantastic Four with the whatever that director's name was who
Oh, Trank.
Trank, yeah, badmouth the movie before it came out.
Yeah. We
That
saw how
didn't go
well
well
that
for him.
went.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No. I mean, so that isn't necessarily super indicative. I've heard some hot takes where it's like, what does Ezra Miller have to do to get punished? Yada yada yada. It's
Yeah.
like the opportunity to punish Ezra went out the window when they came up with the James Gunn verse approach.
Right. Yeah.
Back when last year we were reporting the rumors that they were going to reshoot the movie again and green screen in another actor for all of the berries in every scene.
Yeah.
That was one thing. But now that the movie is basically a dead end, it's like, okay, we're shoving it out there. We're making whatever money we can off of it. Say nice things about the crazy actor who is two characters in the movie.
Yeah.
God, that's having cast Ezra Miller as two characters in the same movie might be the single greatest bad decision in movie history. Now, it was not known at the time how crazy Ezra was.
No, yeah, and well, and I would argue too that he was miscast from the beginning. Like,
From the jump, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why, Zack Snyder put him in Justice League. I just,
Yeah, the rest of the casting for those movies was decent to good.
Yeah.
Ezra's like you know what Ezra Miller's Flash really is when you think about it? It's somebody who doesn't get the appeal of Marvel movies trying to come up with a character from a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Although, when did Guardians of the Galaxy come out?
2000, no.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 release date?
2014?
Okay, 2014.
Yeah,
So that is actually enough time for Guardians of the Galaxy to influence DC casting, possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
Since Batman v Superman came out in 2016 and Flash wasn't in that movie.
Right. Or
So,
he was, but it was kind of.
It could have been anybody in that grainy convenience store footage.
Well, or when he visits Bruce Wayne from the future.
Oh God, I forgot.
It's Lois Lane. She's the key.
Okay, so side tangent. That whole Nightmare with a K thing is like the stupidest concept in a series of movies that was overflowing with stupid concepts.
Yeah.
Like I've heard people talk about how they want a movie in that setting. Why? It's just going to be Mad Max Batman mixed with what do you call it? Mixed with Injustice.
Yeah.
There's nothing good in there.
No. I don't want Injustice Superman.
Actually, there's a fair question. Do you think that if society collapsed and Batman was forced into sort of Mad Max style existence, would he still wear the Bat costume?
He would probably wear a version of it, but not that version of it. I think he would wear like. I think it would probably look more like armor. He wouldn't have a cape, I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I was thinking about my default instinct was there'd be no reason for the Bat costume anymore. You're not scaring the superstitious and cowardly criminals. And then I was just now thinking about it and realized, wait, in that kind of Mad Max setting, everybody is a superstitious and cowardly criminal.
Right. Yeah.
Literally everybody.
Yeah.
It's life is nasty, brutish, and short.
Yeah. But yeah, I getting back to Ezra Miller. I mean, like, at this point, yeah, excuse me, they are unfireable. Let's be honest.
See, I've had some people push back on me on that recently, like if Ezra's identity made a difference on it. I think it's basically what we would be seeing. Okay, so imagine, if you will, in 2018 or so, as Avengers Infinity War is coming out. Yeah, the movie's been filmed. We're like 2 months away from it being released, and the actor who played Thanos, was it Brolin?
Brolin, yeah, Josh
Yeah.
Brolin,
Josh Brolin gets involved in a serious mishap.
which he's been known to do in the past.
Has he been? Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So let's just take an Ezra thing and apply it to Josh. Josh is at a friend's house, and they get in, and Josh Brolin gets into an argument with his friend about whether Parcheesi has origins in Rastafarianism, and physically threatens him when the argument goes out of control. This is happening 2 months before part 1 of 2 of what the Marvel Universe has been building up to for a decade.
Yeah.
I do not think in those circumstances that they would, they can't cancel the movies.
Right.
It's already been shot.
Yeah.
So I think that in that situation, Josh Brolin would get the same kind of leeway.
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know it's the identity, but definitely is like too much sunk cost in this thing to throw Ezra under the bus yet.
Yeah. Ninja says he would look like a serial killer, like Jason. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just something that's easy to put on and can strike fear in people.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for them to go out there and try to talk up Ezra, because according to a story from last week, the Flash's tracking has gone from 140 million opening to 70 million opening.
Ooh. Is that domestic or?
I'm assuming domestic.
Yeah, North
viewing
America.
North American
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, if that's what it came in as, if that's what it came in as national or as internationally, that would be.
Well, that's Shazam numbers.
Yeah, pretty much, with more than 3 times the budget.
Oh man.
So, yeah, don't read too much into this. This is being nice, and this is playing nice for the sake of trying to make whatever money they can off of this turkey.
Yeah, and of course, I think a huge driver for people going to see this movie is going to be Michael Keaton back as Batman.
That's probably it.
Yeah. I mean, most of the marketing I've seen for this movie has been highlighting him.
Yep. Yeah, and it's making this movie based on Flashpoint is such a weird concept too, because it's like, imagine that Justice League had gone well. Like everyone loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. Why would you be using the Flash to reboot it in that scenario? This is like somebody knew that something was wrong with the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
And was ready for it.
Yeah, and Miller's behavior, additional reasons.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I think we've said our piece on this one. It's just basically saving face.
Yeah. In essence, yeah, and it's they're I mean, I think we've said all we need to about that now.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming in to watch us. We appreciate it as always.
Yes. So thanks for providing the third guest star as always, Holy Ninja.
Yes, and of course, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell.
Go buy some comics.
Yes, buy some novels. And we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Later, guys.